Hello. Hello. I dropped something. Hi. Who's there? Is anyone there? I dropped a piece of paper and I didn't want to leave it down there. Hi. I'm just waiting a few minutes to see if anyone comes on. Of course, it is Thursday night. It is the 2nd of August and it's a little after 7:30. I saw someone pop on briefly. Well, I hope everyone's doing well. If you don't know me, I am Dr. Teresa Wright. I am a board-certified family medicine physician, and I'm also a certified health coach. And I just wanted to come on for a few minutes and just see what everyone was doing and just talk a little bit. Trying to keep my commitments and pop in on Thursday evenings for my Facebook Live video chat. Try to share some of the little tidbits that I have picked up over the years and the things that have helped me undergo my transformation. And hopefully it will bless someone else. So I'm just going to wait a few more seconds here just to see if anyone pops on. And then we'll get started. I just have a few tidbits and it's supposed to be good. So what I wanted to discuss was stress, specifically its effects on our eating habits. And if you are like me, maybe you hadn't figured out in your earlier years how to manage stress and eating and how to recognize when they were joining themselves together and creating dysfunctional habits in your life. And so I just wanted to make sure we are identifying those things that are keeping us stuck in a place that is not beneficial to our health. And so one of the first things I wanted to just discuss is the different types of stress eating. So there's different types of stresses that create dysfunctional eating habits. And so one of the first ones is crisis stress. So that's that crisis situation, you know, that phone call that stops your heart dead in its tracks. It's that tax season if you're a tax person, tax professional. It's testing season if you're a teacher. It might be a code or some type of other medical emergency if you're in medicine. But it's different for everyone, you know, and sometimes it's personal. Sometimes it has nothing to do with what's going on in your profession. Sometimes it's something personal. Sometimes it's something as simple as getting up late and being in a rush and being stuck in stop-and-go traffic or being stuck at a stoplight for an extended period of time. And that could create a significant amount of stress in your body. It could create the same type of stress as if you were being chased by an attacker or, you know, in a break-in situation or hostage situation. Your body will create some of those same stress responses for extreme scary situations, just as it will for situations that are everyday stressors. And so what some folks find is that their response to very stressful situations that may be their everyday life is to grab something and eat it. And it's not really something they think about. It's just something that happens. And hello, who's there? It's not something to think about. It's something that happens, and by the time they have already processed the food or the snack or maybe the least healthy thing that they grabbed, by the time they've already consumed it and then thought about it, it's already happened. And I don't want to say the damage is done because it's not always damage in a one-time situation, but if it's a consistent thing, if you're stressed to that extent every day, all day, and that is your mechanism for coping, that can be very detrimental to your health. And so I just wanted to make sure that we were pointing out that. So that's called crisis stress. That's that stress where your stress hormone levels go up in your system, in your body, and creates the whole cascade of hormones that go with feeling very physically stressed and drained over time. So one of the things I recommend for folks that are in a situation like that is to identify your stressors. If it's a chronic everyday type of stressor, then you may need to find ways to cope and to realign your body and its response to something that's more physiologic, and so that you're not constantly having that stress hormone response. And one of the ways to do that, of course, is through journaling or meditating or exercise or healthful, mindful eating. And so one of the things I've done in my life, because I am a stress eater, which is why this topic is so near and dear to me, and because I had to learn this for myself, is I've actually walked around, when I was in the hospital doing rounds and had a very stressful life, I've actually walked around with a pocket of raw almonds, just something to munch on in a really stressful situation that was healthful, that was beneficial, that didn't detract from what I was trying to do in my life. And so that is always an option, is having healthful snacks or things available that you can actually indulge in, that when consumed in moderation, like everything else, helps to address the issue, which is that need to consume something to manage the stress without sabotaging your goals. So that's one thing. And the research actually shows that other ways to manage stress is to find yourself in a green space. So what that might mean is, if you can get away for a few minutes, even if it's just 15 minutes, the research shows that getting outside and seeing some greenery for 15 minutes can help lower your stress levels. And so that's also very, very beneficial. Hello, is that Dr. Salika? Hey, Dr. Salika. Dr. Nisa, hey. And so that's also very beneficial. If you are not able to get outside and see some greenery that way, there is some benefit, and it's been proven to actually looking at a picture of nature scenes, and there's been some evidence that also helps to reduce that stress response. And so, yes, if you have to grab something, have a healthful snack. But if there's time to remember to trigger your mind to pull up a picture of a nice outside scene, or to step away from the stressor and get into a green space, those things are also beneficial for managing stress. And although I'm a physician, I am not the physician that likes the adrenaline rush. I don't like the run into a code, and that stuff really hypes me up to a whole other level. And so I did have to run around with a pocket full of almonds and hey, Dr. Cece, and throw them in my mouth while I was running wherever I had to run to in the hospital, or right after, just to keep my energy up and not burn out fast while I had to do something really critical to save a life. Hey, Dr. Chastity. And that did make a difference. And so those are always good tips. Another reason why people find themselves in a dysfunctional eating habit is because they're eating because they're tired. Now, if you have poor sleep, one of the things you may do is find yourself nibbling, maybe not sleeping or going to bed early, so you're sitting up late. Maybe you're watching TV because you're too... I don't know if you've ever been so tired where you can't even physically get in the bed, but you can sit on the couch and maybe have a snack. There are some folks that are so tired that they can't sleep and have a good night's sleep. And so they find themselves up multiple times a night, snacking or nibbling or watching television without even thinking about how they're snacking or how they're eating. And that's happened to me too. So it's not a judgment thing. It's me just identifying reasons why people might find themselves in a dysfunctional relationship with stress eating. And, stress and fatigue go hand in hand for the same reasons about the stress hormones. And if your body's in a state of stress and it thinks it's under attack and you're in the fight or flight mode, you are not primed to sleep. So it makes sense that if you are stressed out, your sleep is poor. And if your sleep is poor, you confuse fatigue with hunger. And so you may find yourself nibbling for those reasons. And so what we say to folks, what I tell folks when I'm talking to them is to be very mindful of why you are nibbling. Ask yourself, am I tired? Am I thirsty? what is this about? And I ask folks to do a journal sometimes, to just jot down those emotions and feelings. And the reality is, let's be real, sometimes you're too tired to do a journal. You don't even want to think about it. Okay, well then if you are going to snack and it's later in the day, we recommend that you use a small bowl instead of a plate because you can manage your portions better. We recommend that you really focus on what's on that bowl. If you're going to do it, just focus on the textures, the taste, the smells. Indulge your senses, all of them, not just one sense. And don't do it mindlessly, because then you don't realize that you're doing it, and to the extent that you've done it. And by the time you look down, if you're just nibbling from a bag of chips or something, the bag is empty, you're still tired, you're still stressed, and you've added maybe some, over time, pounds to what you were trying to do, which offsets your weight loss goals. So, and let's be real, it's not always about weight loss. It can also be about health. So you could offset your health goals too. So that's another reason. One of the last reasons that I wanted to just bring up real quickly is the sense that we are reclaiming simpler times when we have certain types of stress eating behaviors. So hear me out on this. When you were younger, mom, dad, grandma, they made foods that were very comforting, and things were simpler back then. You didn't have to worry about bills. Hey, Dr. Dietrich. You didn't have to worry about picking out your clothes and buying clothes for kids and thinking about the husband. You didn't have to worry about what your boss thought of you. You didn't have to worry about any of that. It was a simple time. And so imagine just showing up from school every afternoon and mom's making cookies, or grandma's cooking her famous spaghetti and meatballs, or whatever it is that was very comforting for you in your childhood. And then think about what you're going through now. Maybe you're having some significant life stresses, death of a loved one, hardships that are financial in nature. You're facing ruin in some way. Hi, Dr. Dre. There's something going on that is really ripping at you. And if you're like me, maybe there's multiple things going on. Hey, Dr. Kilani, welcome to my show, you guys. Maybe there's multiple things going on. Maybe it's not just one thing, maybe it's a few things. Maybe you're struggling with efficiency at work and you've been told that you need to do better. Whatever those cases are, you may come home at the end of the day and you are just craving that desire to reclaim simpler times. You may find yourself stress snacking or stress eating foods that remind you of those times. For me, I'm from the Caribbean, so a lot of times I wind up gravitating to Caribbean style foods, the rice and peas and the stewed chicken or the curry goat or whatever. And for me, that's when I see myself rush into the Caribbean restaurant during lunch or after work or on a Saturday, I have to ask myself, okay, Teresa, what's going on? Like, it's not because I don't love the food and I don't want to eat it all the times, but most times that's because I'm craving something. Hey, Dr. Shruti, I'm craving something. I'm trying to reclaim the past that I had before all of this happened. And it's all good. All that I have is good, but it comes with its own burdens and its own weights. And so sometimes I want to reclaim some simpler times. And there's nothing wrong with eating some of the foods that are from your culture or that your mom used to make or your grandma used to make. But let's be clear. Sometimes in reclaiming simpler times through food, hey, we are also not just having the healthy things that grandma used to make and mom used to make and dad used to make, but we're also having the snacks and the desserts and the drinks and the cupcakes and maybe the carb-rich foods. Like I remember as a child, my dad used to bake fresh bread. I don't eat bread during the week when I'm not out and about because I don't really love store-bought bread, but it's because in my mind, I remember my dad making fresh bread. So when we go out and there's fresh bread on the table, it reminds me of that simple time. And guess who wants fresh bread every time she goes to a restaurant where there's fresh bread? And if I'm not careful, I will eat all of it. And if I'm stressed out and I'm not careful and life is happening really fast, that's where we could derail our progress. And so I just want you to be mindful of that. And so what the experts and what I recommend is finding things that remind you of simpler times and substituting the healthier versions for maybe the not so healthy options. So yes, you like fresh bread. So if you're like me, you may go out and have dinner and have a few pieces of fresh bread, but maybe you won't get the pasta dish this time. Maybe you won't get the dessert, or maybe you'll share that dessert with a loved one or a friend to offset all that carb load or whatever you have to do to make that work for you and your health goals. But don't fool yourself into thinking, oh my, don't start with the, yes, Dr. Kaylani, that homemade fresh bread is something I just, yes, I need that in my life. And I'm going to get some of that this coming week because I'm going to have to go home for a funeral. That's a whole other story. But in all of that, I'm going to get some fresh homemade Caribbean bread. So you see what I'm saying? It happens. Acknowledge what it is and move on. But don't fool yourself into thinking it's not happening. And so those are just some little tips and hints on how to identify the type of stressors you're having, how to link them to dysfunctional eating habits, how to call it what it is. You have to call it what it is. Hey, I am stress eating. Here's why. Here's how I'm going to fix that dysfunctional behavior. And here's how I'm maybe going to do better next time so that I'm not caught in this cycle that is not beneficial to my mind, my body, or my wellness. And if that was helpful to you, please share it with your friends. Yeah, right? If that was helpful for you, please share it with your friends. This is what I do, this is what I do. And I started with me, and I have a ways to go, but in doing what I love, in educating myself, I want to pass that on. And so help me do that. Click below, share with your friends, like it, and just send me some love. Love my page. I'm going to try to show up every Thursday at 7:30 and just give a little tidbit on what's going on. And next week actually, hey Dr. Erin, next week, Thursday, I'll be in the Caribbean, God willing. And so I will hopefully pop in from there and say hi to you guys too. So again, I'm Dr. Teresa Wright. I am a certified health coach. I'm also a board certified family physician doctor. I'm in the process of transforming my life. I want to help transform yours, your friends, your moms, your dads, your cousins. I want to help you in any way that I can. Help me do that. Send me love. I love you guys. God loves you more. Have a blessed evening, and thank you all for checking in. Bye.